telling you right now, there's going to be a fake artificial intelligence audio against Trump in the next 72 hours. I don't know that on any inside information. I know how desperate these savages are. They are losing. They're losing their window right now in early voting. And you're trying to tell me the people that impeached and indicted him are just going to roll over and hand the keys to the White House? Cash, can you talk about how we must be on guard and we must be ready to tell the truth and discredit any of these supposed stories? For example, Mark Halperin said last night, there's a story that's being shopped around about Trump that could be very bad. He said, but if true, and Mark Halperin's a serious guy, he was on our show. Cash, can you speak to this? Because we are now seeing the panic, the paranoia, and the desperation. And again, it is tempting to just ignore these stories, and I get that. At the same time, we must be on guard if this is like their October surprise to prep our audience for what is coming next. Cash, what are your thoughts on artificial intelligence disinformation that might be coming?
Look, the disinformation campaign from the government gangsters in the swamp, the same guys that gave you Russiagate, is going to come full stop. I know your phone and my phone are being blown up by the mainstream media with these fake accounts so that they can put them into the bloodstream. This isn't the only one. And remember, this story about Vanessa Guillen is 4 years old, Charlie. 4 years old. When I go out there on these campaign stops, what I tell the audience is you guys need to tell your communities to vote on the truth. And you guys are the conveyor belt of the truth, not CNN and the Atlantic and the New York Times. And they are desperate to get it. So, yes, you're right. They're going to manufacture Russiagate 17.0 between now and Election Day. They're going to use every trick in the tool that they have in the tool shed, whether it's the intel community or the Department of Justice, to manufacture another bogus claim about President Trump and another bogus violation of law. They're probably going to come up with another version of the National Security and 51 Intel letter just to try and take out Donald Trump. But we have to remind people, Kamala Harris has been in office for 1,300 days. She's the one that didn't call a single one of the 13 families that fallen in 1,300 days. She wasn't in the Oval Office making the decisions to destroy the border. President Donald Trump, and I was there with the first-hand seat, he brought home more hostages than every president before him combined. He ended atrocities overseas. He ended the forever wars. This is not a guy that disgraces our men and women. This is a guy that's been to Arlington more times than any other president before him because he wants to honor those. He did it this year to support our veterans and their families when Kamala Harris wouldn't show up. So you're right, Charlie. They're going to come out of this hard and fast. But our community and our numbers are bigger, and we have to use them as a force multiplier. And so I hope they use your show to get out the truth, because you have reach. I was just at Beaver Stadium yesterday with the fraternities on Penn State, and they are all fired up about this too. So when we can reach that youth, and when we see them showing up, we know what the Turning Point Action Committee has done to turn out the youth vote in colleges is working.
Well, look, we're not done yet. There's a lot of evidence that what we're doing with young people is working, the crowds and the voter registration and the turnout. But I am not taking credit for anything or celebrating. People say yesterday, Andrew says we had 5,000 people at University of Georgia yesterday. In fact, we had a member of the mainstream media, not to be named. He was pretty impressed. Would you say, Andrew? The name of the legacy media, who is doing a documentary, if you will. Yeah, often seen on MSNBC. Actually, a very sweet guy. Really quick, Cash, I could go more into details here, but just remind the audience, this is more broadly. You were the chief of staff to the Department of Defense. You were Trump's national security advisor. Talk to us about the character of Donald Trump when it comes to these intimate scenarios and how outrageous these lines of attack are against him.
When President Trump receives information about a fall, it makes me pay attention more than anything. He clears his schedule. I've seen it time and time again. He spends countless hours with the families. I've seen it in person at Dover, and I've seen him take that mission out to the American public. He cares more for every president before him combined, and I've seen him in the Oval Office, and I've seen him get emotional about having to sign the letters of the fallen, and he does not want to sign any more of those letters. That's the type of commander-in-chief you want. After we took out Baghdadi, Charlie, you know who he called first that night? And I was with him in the Oval Office and the White House when we took out Baghdadi, the leader of ISIS. He wanted the ground force commanders' names and numbers so he could call and honor the military that executed that mission. He wanted the names and numbers of the families of the 4 children who were beheaded and raped by Baghdadi. That's the Donald Trump I know who executes the no-fail mission in the United States. So they're going to print these, but America, you remind them of Donald Trump's courage to end terrorism and bring home hostages and to put our men and women in uniform first, as thought firsthand as Chief of Staff and as the Deputy Director of National Intelligence. That's the guy we need back in the White House.